Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another episode of the Wrestling Rant. Got a new little topic to talk about today. I think the title for this video is going to be Joke Characters. Joke Characters Everywhere. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the little meme, little picture of Woody and Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. The little meme picture. Yeah, so anyways, there's an awful lot of joke characters, both in the WWE and in TNA. Well, I think there's only maybe one or two in TNA, but primarily we'll be talking about the WWE. There's just an awful lot of these characters that are jokes. That's all they are. There's so many of them, and a lot of them aren't even worth talking about all that much. But figure I might as well. The only one I can think of in TNA is Robbie E. And I don't know, I can't really think of any others in TNA. But anyways, he's the only one I can think of, so we'll start with him. Robbie E is actually a fairly good wrestler. He's just stuck with a god-awful gimmick. They decided to do their own Jersey Shore ripoff in TNA because the WWE already has one. So they decided to do their own in TNA. And they found this guy, and like I said, he's actually a fairly good wrestler, but they stick him with this crappy gimmick, and I don't know. I just think it sucks, because he's a better wrestler, and he can actually cut decent promos, but for some reason they decide to waste him in this crappy character. They had him in the Bound for Glory series several months back, and he actually had a victory over Jeff Hardy, which he gloated about incessantly, even though it was a complete fluke because Hardy, I think, got distracted by Rob Terry, who was on the outside. Yada, yada, yada. Either way. So there's him. Not really all that great. So, well, I mean, Robbie E's good, but, you know. I think he's really the only one in TNA. So, let's flip on over to the WWE. And in the WWE, you have a few more. Probably the most well-known, I suppose, of the joke characters in the WWE is Santino Marella. And he has been a joke for a long, long time. And it's actually a shame because he's actually not so bad of a wrestler. It's when he busts out all these stupid gimmicked joke moves like his goofy cobra thing that he does. This stupid little snake sleeve thing that he puts over his arm and his hand, and he pokes people with it. This move has no real power. It has no real impact behind it. It's a stupid little bird peck to the neck that he does on these people. And it's so hokey and gimmicky, it's just really dumb. But, about all this guy's good for anymore is these crappy jokes. And it's really getting old because it's been going on for so long. It's like, okay, we get the joke. It's not funny anymore. Not that it ever really was, but whatever. So you've got Santino Marella. You also have the frickin' midget Hornswoggle. And there's another joke that was never frickin' funny. You've got this guy who's half the size of everyone else. Even less than half the size. I mean, you've got such short fries like Rey Mysterio. And Hornswoggle's even shorter than him. What's the point? This is not a midget wrestling company. And I know the WWE has done that before. They've brought in several of them to do like battle royals and all this other crap. It's ridiculous. So, all the ridiculous storylines they've done with him. I mean, this is the same guy who was the last cruiserweight champion before they retired the belt. And it was because they didn't want him to get hurt. Because, for all intents and purposes, pretty much anybody else would frickin' murder him in the ring. So they're like, oh, we don't want the poor midget to get hurt, so let's retire the belt. Why not just strip him of the belt? Why did you even allow him to win it in the first place if you're so worried about his health? But you let him win it, so why not just strip him of the damn belt and hold a tournament or a battle royal or something to crown a new champion? Honestly, the WWE really needs to bring back the Cruiserweight title because there's a lot of undercard guys, a lot of the smaller guys who can't catch a big break in the Intercontinental or US title divisions, and they're not going to get anywhere close to the world title or the WWE title. There's a lot of undercard guys, a lot of very talented undercard guys. They're never given a chance because there's nothing really for them to fight for. There's no Cruiserweight title anymore. And I remember back when the WWE, the Cruiserweight is actually a belt that they held over when they took over WCW. I remember back when the WWF at the time had its light heavyweight title. And I remember guys like Taka Michinoku fighting over that belt. You know. We really need to bring back this division and have them showcase these high-flying guys. And that brings to mind a guy who's been missing for several months now, probably over a year or more. If you remember Evan Bourne, he was suspended because failing the wellness policy. And so he was suspended for a few months for that. But while he was suspended, he actually got injured. I think he had a broken ankle or a broken leg or something like that. So he was out even longer. And he's all better now, from what I've heard, and he's ready to come back. But they were waiting until after WrestleMania to do it. I know that's not really related to the topic at hand, but yeah. But we were talking about Hornswoggle. There's no point in having the guy. He's not funny. The joke it never worked in the first place. So why even do it? And they used this guy to bury Chavo Guerrero for like 6 months straight. For 6 months straight, every week on Raw, Chavo Guerrero would job to this midget. This guy who's half his size, and Chavo's not even a big guy anyways. This guy's half his size and about a third of his weight. And Chavo has to job to this guy every week for 6 months straight. And it's no wonder that Chavo got the hell out of there and went to TNA. I would have too. Chavo's not necessarily all that good, but I'm sure he deserves better than that. They've got him teaming up with Hernandez, another piece of crap in TNA. I just don't get it. Why would you do something like that? Yeah, let's bury a guy who's, honestly not all that bad of a wrestler. Let's bury him with a midget. Every week, they're putting him in gimmick matches like, oh, you gotta tie one arm behind your back. Oh, you've got to fight him blindfolded. All this dumb crap. It's ridiculous. And I just don't understand why they would do it. So, Hornswoggle needs to go. Bottom line. There's no point in him being there. It's not funny anymore. And it never really was all that funny anyways. So there was Robbie E, and then there's Hornswoggle. And Santino Marella too. Another joke character that they have, or at least I would qualify him as one, is the Great Khali. This guy has 2 left feet. He's clumsy in the ring. He can't wrestle for shit. And he barely speaks English, so he can't cut promos. And he's just this big, huge Indian motherfucker, and I've got nothing against Indian people. But it's like, if he's such a big attraction, why don't you let him go back to India? I remember a year or so ago, he said he was actually supposed to go back to India. And that never seemed to happen, because he's still around. I guess it was a short vacation or whatever. But whatever, he's a terrible wrestler. And I mean terrible. This is the same guy who's actually killed someone in the ring by botching a powerbomb on them. That's how bad this guy is. You'll notice they never really let him do a powerbomb, because they don't want him dropping them, or dropping somebody and killing them. So, should definitely get rid of him. Not to mention the fact that right now he's being used to pretty much bury Natalya Neidhart. I already mentioned that before in the Divas video. She's playing ring valet to him for some reason, and the 2 of them are both paired up with Hornswoggle. So the 3 of them, it's like this new oddities faction that they've made. And it's really not even all that good. Hornswoggle's stupid, and so is Khali. You're wasting Natalya Neidhart. She should be wrestling the other divas. She's good. Why waste her like this? So yeah, that's Khali. Other joke characters right now, you've got R-Truth, who in all fairness, Truth is actually a pretty damn decent wrestler. And when given the right character, he can be pretty damn entertaining. If you'll remember a while back, they had him turn heel, and he went all crazy, and this is when the whole Little Jimmy thing started. So he was crazy, so he came up with an invisible friend. It was ridiculous. But you know what? At the beginning of it, when he was a heel, it was actually entertaining enough, and it worked. You know, there was this whole big storyline where he thought there was this conspiracy out to get him. You know, people trying to hold him down. And the funny thing is that seems like it's exactly the case. The McMahons and the people that run the WWE never want any black wrestlers to get over or be successful. Like, the only exception is Mark Henry, and I don't even know why they care about him. He sucks. So, but they just don't seem to want any of the black wrestlers to get over. They had R-Truth and Kofi team together for a while. They won the tag titles, but whoop-de-doo, right now the tag titles are frickin' worthless. I mean, the belts that they have for the tag titles, they look like pennies. They look like copper pennies. It's insulting. The old belts look better than these things. There's no point in having these guys, or having a tag division, really, if the belts look like shit. But anyways, getting back to R-Truth, he's really not all that bad. And that heel character that he had for a while was actually pretty entertaining. So, he's not worthless like the other ones. But, you know, so you've got him. The whole thing with Lil Jimmy right now is ridiculous. So, that gimmick really needs to be ended. And, just really need to get R-Truth back to a normal gimmick and a normal storyline. And that actually raises to mind an interesting thing, because I actually remembered another joke character from TNA, and that's Eric Young. And I actually like Eric Young. He's a good wrestler, and when he wants to, he can cut a pretty good promo, but his character right now is beyond god-awful. To explain his character, you have to go back several months. If anybody remembers back several months, probably a year or so ago, they had their Suicide character in TNA, who was the Suicide character was created for the TNA video game that was god-awful, but they decided to actually use the character because it actually wasn't a bad character. So they used that. But anyways, Suicide had a match with Eric Young on Explosion. And like I said, this is a really long time ago. So they had a match, and Eric Young was up on the top rope. Suicide jumps up, uses the ropes to, push himself up, and basically gives him an enziguri kick to the head. This knocks Eric out of the ring, and he falls all the way to the floor and bangs his head on the floor. This apparently gave him a concussion or some kind of brain damage from the way he acts. Ever since then, he's been acting like a complete idiotic moron. They've done all these stupid things, just idiotic behavior. And then for some reason he gets this relationship going with ODB, who is this not very attractive knockout that they had a while back. I don't even think she's still with the company. But they formed this relationship, and then they actually got married in the storyline. And they were doing all this other stupid crap. It's ridiculous. So yeah, so they got married, and then here's where it gets even better. These two, Eric Young and ODB, currently hold the most worthless title in TNA, and that's the Knockouts Tag Team titles. And I'll say that again. They are holding the Knockouts Tag Team titles, which are supposed to be a Knockouts only tag team titles. So a man is holding half of the women's tag team titles. This is how idiotic TNA is booked and written. That a man is holding half of the women's tag team titles in TNA. It hasn't been brought up in months because Eric Young is off doing this fishing show, like up in Canada or something. He's Canadian, so he's up doing this fishing show for some Canadian TV station, I guess. And ODB hasn't been seen in frickin' months. I don't even think she's still with the company. I don't think it matters. She wasn't really all that good, honestly. But for fuck's sake, just have them drop the titles. Just retire the titles. It's pointless even having them anyways, because there's no Knockouts tag teams anymore. You know, a while back you had the Beautiful People. Okay. Tara and Madison Rayne were partners for a while. That didn't last all that long. Madison and Gail Kim were partners for a while. Again, that didn't last all that long. But we keep having all this stupid stuff, and there's no tag teams anymore, so there's no point in even having the belts. Alright, sorry, I got off on a tangent there. Eric Young. Acting like a moron whenever he's actually on the show, which isn't often because he's doing his fishing show. So, my hope is he'll be off TV for a while, and when they bring him back, if and when he ever stops doing this fishing show, if they bring him back, hopefully they'll just have him drop the moron gimmick and just have him go back to normal, because it's really pathetic how badly they've treated him. It's really bad. But anyways, back to the WWE. Went over Santino and Hornswoggle and Kali and R-Truth. Trying to think of any other just completely joke characters. Having a hard time thinking about this stuff. The only other one I can think of is the guy I was going to save for last, because I got a lot to say about this guy. I suppose you could kind of consider Kofi Kingston at this point a joke character. Nobody really takes him all that seriously. His gimmick and character have been changed so dramatically, I guess. I mean, Kofi Kingston started off as this Jamaican, like, Rastafarian, always smiling, always happy, just happy-go-lucky kind of guy. And then all of a sudden, they just dropped it. He's not from Jamaica anymore, he's from South Africa. But he still has no accent. He never really had a Jamaican accent. He doesn't have like a South African accent now. Doesn't really matter. He's not that great of a wrestler. He can't talk for shit. And I really don't see any point in keeping the guy. So, you know, there's that. Like I said, nobody really takes him all that seriously anymore because he's been buried. I mean, despite having multiple reigns as Intercontinental Champion, I believe he's been U.S. Champion as well. Still, nobody takes him seriously because he's still always this kind of happy-go-lucky, never really sad or anything kind of guy. And I don't know. Just never really thought much of him. I don't really think he's all that good. The guy can jump really high. So what? I don't really think that makes him a good wrestler. And his finishing move, what he calls the Trouble in Paradise, which is a holdover from his Jamaican gimmick, which, you know, like I said, since he's not supposed to be Jamaican anymore, how does the name still apply? Anyways, it's a spinning, like, roundhouse kick. This is a basic martial arts move. I really don't think it deserves to be a finishing move. Anybody could do this. So, I've seen indie guys do this move. It's really not all that big of a deal. So, there's that. I suppose you could kind of consider him a joke since they don't really take him all that seriously. Haven't really seen him all that much lately. Which is probably good, because like I said, he's not that great. But whatever. Trying Trying to think of any other jokes that they have. At the time, at least. The only other one I can think of is the guy I was going to save for last. And that is Zack Ryder. This guy is a complete piece of shit. I cannot be nice about this. The guy whines incessantly over Twitter and Facebook and any other social media he can get his stupid little hands on. He started his own stupid little YouTube show, which is the only reason he got popular in the first place. He made a lot of really bad jokes, and I've seen a couple episodes of the show, and I'm talking about from the beginning, not newer ones. He doesn't even do them anymore because after his show got taken over by the WWE YouTube channel, after it got taken over, it basically ruined it because they stopped allowing comments on the channel. So now, nobody wants to watch it anymore. And his popularity that he got from being on YouTube is pretty much gone because they buried him. And rightfully so, because he's not that good of a wrestler. He can't talk very well. He sucks at promos. His character is shit. Whether you'll admit it or not, it's a Jersey Shore ripoff. I don't care if he's from Long Island. I really don't give a damn. And I don't care if he came first. He's a ripoff of the Jersey Shore. And the Jersey Shore was always garbage in my opinion anyways. So being a knockoff of something that was terrible to begin with, you're double terrible. And the fact that the guy keeps bitching and whining over Twitter. Twitter is lame anyways. So he keeps whining about that. It's ridiculous. The guy needs to shut his yap and just fucking go with what they give his punk ass. Because he should be happy with anything. Because he's not worth keeping. His character sucks. His wrestling isn't all that good. His finisher is a joke. He jumps up and teabags their ear while he brings them down with like a leg lariat. Calls it the Rough Rider. It's not even all that great. He's not that good of a wrestler. He's not that good of a talker. And his character sucks. There's no point in him being so popular. I don't see why it happened. And he's not worth being all this uppity about. He sucks. Spring cleaning is coming up. It's just around the corner. And something tells me the WWE is going to want to get rid of a few people because, as I mentioned in a previous video, now that WrestleMania is over, they are very seriously thinking about bringing up some people from NXT, some people who are ready. And I know of a few that I'm hoping are going to get brought up. And in order to make room for these people, they're probably going to have to fire some other people. And I'm honestly hoping that Ryder's on the list of people they fire, because he's not worth keeping. He sucks. And the guy just won't stop bitching about not being used. I want to be on Raw, it's in my hometown. I want to be at WrestleMania, it's in my hometown. Or whatever. Fuck you. You're not in any storylines. There's no point for you being in WrestleMania. Nobody wants to see your ass anymore. They buried you. And they buried you good. And you didn't deserve anything better because you suck. I'm hoping he gets released. And then his first move will probably be to go to TNA. I'm betting that's what's going to happen. He's going to go to TNA. And they will pair him up with Robbie E. And he'll play second banana to Robbie E. And so he'll be bitching and complaining about that crap too. That's all you deserve, you punk ass. Okay? You've done nothing since being one of the edgeheads. Okay? Curt Hawkins, the other edgehead, is so much better than you. And he's on Raw even less than you are. And you're bitching about that? You don't even have the talent to warrant being on Raw. And your former partner, Curt Hawkins, the guy who should be on Raw, he's hardly ever on Raw. He's the one who should be complaining. So Ryder, you can shut the hell up. You're a joke, and that's all you are. You're a Jersey Shore ripoff, and you can eat a dick, okay? Really hoping they fire him. I'm really hoping they fire Santino and Hornswoggle and the Great Khali and Kofi Kingston too, because he's not worth keeping either. So, I would get rid of all of them. These joke characters, you know, a wise man once said, funny don't make money. You might recognize the quote. But yeah, in pro wrestling, being funny, yeah, that's great, okay? You know, you can tell jokes, you can make people laugh. But that don't sell tickets. It's good in-ring work, charisma, being able to cut promos that are believable, being able to put feeling into your voice, which is something John Cena needs to learn. The only feeling he can put into his voice is anger. And when he screams and yells all angry, he sounds like an idiot. It's hilarious. He gets all angry, I want to laugh in his face. Because that's what it looks like. It looks funny. He gets all red in the face, and I want to laugh at him. You have nothing to be mad about, Cena. You've had a career handed to you, wrapped with a bow on a silver platter. You've been handed every frickin' title. And you've been handed 11 damn reigns as WWE Champion. Because it's not your frickin' mic skills or your wrestling skills that have earned you any of these things. You were handed all these things by Vince McMahon because you sell him, or you sell so much merchandise for him. I'd honestly call Cena a joke character too. The only thing he sells is merchandise, because he sure as hell doesn't sell a beating. But I'm honestly hoping that a lot of these joke characters get fired during spring cleaning, and we can get some fresh young talent brought up from NXT and actually have some good matches and some good feuds put on. I'm really hoping that can happen soon, because we need some young blood. We need some fresh young talent to spice things up. Because with the people we've got, it's getting old. You know, we've been seeing the same old people for years now. It's getting old. We need some new talent. We need to start using some of the young talent that we hardly ever use, like Curt Hawkins. He's been on NXT for so long, even though he's never been one of the rookies. Like, NXT was a show that started out as this competition to find the next breakout star. And that's how we got Wade Barrett. He's a piece of shit anyways. That's how we got Wade Barrett. He won the first season. And Daniel Bryan also came from that. He didn't win, but he ended up coming in afterwards. The whole Nexus thing was everybody from the first season of NXT. And then from the second season is where we got Ryback, who was Skip Sheffield. Or no, wait, he was in the first season. Yeah, so he was part of the Nexus. So, but that went nowhere. Barrett sucks. He should not have won NXT. Daniel Bryan's been way more successful. He should have been the one who should have won it. He's a much better wrestler. But of course, we can't have him win because he's an actual indie star with actual talent. We can't have him win. He's not a WWE-made star. I hate this mentality in the WWE that these indie guys can't succeed. They can't be big stars. That was the stigma around Punk for so long. And it's why it took them so long to finally pull the trigger on Punk, is because he was made elsewhere. He had been in Ring of Honor. He was in TNA briefly, even though he hated that time. He's been in so many other companies on the indie scene. And the same goes for Daniel Bryan. They do not like indie guys. They like guys that they discover themselves, and then they can shape them and mold them themselves to be these crappy sports entertainers. We don't friggin' want sports entertainment. We want wrestling. Professional wrestling. We want matches that are more than 2 or 3 minutes long. We want people who can actually cut good promos. The crap you've been giving us for the last decade it's just horrible. All these joke characters and hosses and bad wrestlers. And I should probably do another video on all the hosses. You can throw Great Khali in that friggin' group. Just no talent, no charisma. Freaking hoss. But yeah, I think that will actually wrap it up for this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Just wanted to get all of that off my chest. These joke characters need to go away. We need people who are serious about wrestling. About putting on good matches, cutting good promos, getting the fans invested in their characters, and having the charisma to do so. Because you have to be able to cut a promo, you have to be able to talk, and build your character to get people invested in it. There's hardly any of that anymore nowadays. It's another problem with John Cena, and I hate to keep coming back to him because he sucks. But the guy's character is so flat and one-dimensional. He's a generic, heroic, goody-two-shoes, frickin' Boy Scout. That's pretty much all there is to his character. And it's like a carbon copy of Hulk Hogan from the 80s. And Hulk Hogan was never really that great of a wrestler either. But yeah, I think that will wrap it up for this episode of the show. I just might be doing another video on the hosses a little later on. There's plenty of them to talk about. And there's another group of guys that really needs to go bye-bye. That'll save you another few roster spots that you can use for good, talented wrestlers. You could bring up a few more guys from NXT. Or sign a few guys from the indie scene. I heard here recently that they were thinking about signing Amazing Red. This is a guy who's been in TNA for a while. Or he was in TNA for quite a while. And the guy is a damn good wrestler. He can do a lot of great high-flying moves and good technical stuff. And he's young, so he's got plenty of time left. Again, if they could bring back the Cruiserweight division, you could have Amazing Red, you could have Curt Hawkins, you could have Derek Bateman, who's another guy who's been in NXT for so long. You can bring this guy up to the main roster, and he's entertaining. He can be funny, but he's not a joke character, you know. He's just naturally a funny guy. So it can get people invested in his character by being funny and stuff like that, but he's also a good wrestler. And Johnny Curtis, who is now Fandango, he had the same thing. The last season of NXT, before they switched to this new format that they're doing now, which it's basically FCW, or the developmental territory. But this last season they did of it, Johnny and Maxine had this thing going with Caitlyn and Derek Bateman. And it was good. It was entertaining. It had a good story behind it. And they also all wound up, the storyline branched out, and they wound up interacting with Curt Hawkins and Tyler Rex, because they were a tag team. All of these people could have been brought up to the main roster. And this storyline could have been brought over, and it would have been so much more entertaining than the crap we get on TV right now. They could have done it, and it would have made money. It would have entertained the crowd. There would have been good matches involved with it. They didn't bother, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. If you can get rid of these joke characters like Ryder and Santino and Kofi and all the others, except for maybe Truth, because honestly, he's worth keeping. You can turn him into something. Just have him drop the joke gimmick and start being more serious, and it would be good. You can get rid of these people and bring up some young talent from NXT. There's several guys down there in NXT they could bring up. These guys are already ready. They have the wrestling skills. They have the promo skills and the charisma. You debut them with proper gimmicks. Most of them already have gimmicks that don't even need to be changed. Just debut them with a good gimmick and put them in a storyline with somebody and just have it go from there. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and favorite, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm really hoping to see some progress with the WWE. I feel foolish for hoping for it, because something tells me it's not going to happen. But we will see what happens. And so that'll wrap it up for this episode of the show. See you again next time, where we'll probably be talking about the hosses. We'll see you next time.